Creators Game, episode 46. I'm Dave Miller.
Chris Vale.
Jake and Huck.
And we're back, guys. One whole week. And let's just start with you. You know, your first time on the podcast. What did people have to say?
Just a lot of positive feedback, especially yesterday. Just when the reel or clip came out about the parents drinking at their kids' minor games and stuff like that. So just a lot of people happy that somebody's actually talking about it, I guess. And I didn't know that I was the only one, but you know, it definitely, if it shines a light on it, then that's obviously a positive thing. And a lot of people are kind of sick of it. And I mean, it doesn't hurt to, if you see that again, just go up to somebody and say, leave.
Yeah, and I think that it was good that you said like sporting events, because a lot of people will try to just be like, oh, it's only in lacrosse, but really it's like it's in all of these sports.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's like it's a very cultured thing in multiple sports.
Absolutely, and you know, I did read one of the comments on one of the platforms there, and you know, the one fella, I don't know the name, I won't remember it, but he said, you know, it's not because. It's not the consumption that's causing these things. Well, indirectly, it is the consumption. That maybe it's not indirectly, it's not, but it definitely amplifies it, right? Like you have a couple of pops, and then you get a little braver or a little crazier, and it. And you look at all these tournaments, or whether it's lacrosse, hockey, or whatever. It's usually the parents that are drinking that are causing the ones, right? And you just have the ones that aren't drinking, just there for their kids, and that are just like kind of embarrassed.
Usually that's when like refs and stuff, right? Usually the parents got some couple drinks in them is when a ref gets a little roughed up and stuff. So yeah, that's usually what it's been sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's, well, I don't know. I would say I think it's crazy that the refs don't say anything. But what I kind of see is the refs are friends with those people. They kind of know. They let it slide because they're like, oh, yeah, like outside of this arena, like I know this person.
I think it depends on the venue, and I guess I can see that in a sense. But for the most part, I think they just tell the coaches, from my point of experience anyways, they'll tell the coaches if that's your fan, just get somebody over there to tell them to stop, or we're going to be ejecting everybody in the arena. And I've seen that happen before, and it sucks for the kids, but sometimes it's the best thing for the kids.
Yeah, and then it's a way to stop it. Just did it right there, because then everyone's going to have to leave, and otherwise the kids can't play.
Yeah, well that's how it's been the thing, right? They'll say those cancel the game, everybody leave, or we'll just cancel the game.
Yeah. What about yourself, Vale? What's the last week been like for you?
I've been pretty good. Busy. Went to a Raptors game the other day. It was pretty good.
Yeah, the Raptors game, isn't it?
Yeah, just watched a lot of lacrosse this weekend, Friday and Saturday. Kept it kind of easy.
What'd you do at the Raptors game? Anything exciting happening?
Just I was there rooting on the Knicks, so it was a good game.
Not even rooting for the Raptors?
No.
Disrespect. Well, we were at the Toronto Rock game. I don't know. Were you rooting for Toronto Rock? Not this week, but last week.
Last week, I was kind of torn. I think we were kind of in the end. Yeah, we're for Georgia because Georgia won. But
I was like, yeah. There's Lyle. I'll cheer for Lyle.
Yeah. I think we were kind of going more Georgia there.
Yeah. But let's get right into the NLL. We didn't really get a touch on it last podcast, like the current games. So let's jump into last night. What was the most shocking game to you guys? What was the most like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that one?
Probably Buffalo's getting killed, right? Like, I don't know, like just kind of seemed like Vegas, like we were just talking just before we got on, that was a really good game. Vegas beat Oshawa in Vegas. And one thing I heard the announcer Jumbo talk about was how they had a really packed house and kind of cheering and stuff, and that could have been good for Vegas and their fan base, kind of getting a big win in a packed house like that. Maybe they'll keep kind of bringing the fans out and growing the game in Vegas. But I mean, Buffalo, they got kind of killed. Vino didn't look like the greatest goalie of all time last night, and got pulled. They had to put Evan in. I think that was his first time being that now he's the second string, and I mean, it was just a rough night to be a Buffalo Bandits fan. Then obviously Ryan Hartley's, that was kind of crazy. The whole laying out, a lot of fights going on, and the fact that even nobody talked about Ryan Hartley made the save. right? He laid the guy out and he jumped up. He made the save. Then
There was a shot after, right?
Yeah. Like he's a really good goalie. And I understand a lot of people thought the hit wasn't good and kind of talked about the Alex Bouquet hit from years ago and things like that. But it was still kind of like he still like just makes highlights, right? No matter what it is.
Well, we were kind of talking about it before you had gotten here, and I was asking him, I was asking you, like, was that hit illegal?
By the rule book, it was, yes.
And
because
what would it have been?
the runner was not knowing what was going to about to happen, right? If he's unprotected, I don't know if that's the correct word, but if he doesn't know what's about to happen, that's an illegal hit. Whether it's a charging or just a 2-foot run, right? And just the other thing, like even Hartley, I'm actually surprised he did that based on his own concussion experiences. I don't know what Charbonneau, if he finished the game or not, but a guy that has multiple concussions, you think he'd have a little bit more respect for somebody else in that regards. And then even what you mentioned, Bouquet, like he did that 9 years ago, I think it was, and
in Colorado.
Yeah, and that ended Carson Leung's career. So it when you originally watch it, yes, it looks great, but then you really sit back and think about it, like that's bad, that's dangerous.
I think the NFL, they have the same rules, like defenseless receiver or whatever, right? So you figure like Del Bianco thinks he's getting one of his many assists added to his stat sheet, and boom. And then, like you said, it was just crazy. And then even Brad McCulley getting tossed, and Biles, like everything kind of went to shit there, and it was kind of crazy.
What do you think the Rochester management was saying to the goalie after that? Like, what kind of advice? Like, what do you even say after that? Like, who are you thinking, or do you kind of be like, that was a good hit, or start off the game? Like, I don't even know. Like, what do you say to that?
Me personally?
Yeah, sure.
What are you thinking? Like that you're 6 minutes into the game. And this, I don't know I don't remember what the score was at that time. I didn't watch it. I just saw the highlight of it. But I mean, that stuff may happen in a game like Buffalo, Colorado, where it's a big blow in the fourth quarter, where you're just beyond frustrated, and not in a 1-1 or 1-goal game beginning of the game. That's my first question, especially in just knowing his own concussion history. Like, what are you doing?
Then somebody had said Riley Hutchcraft was dealing with an illness, like a sinus infection or something. So, like, your backup goalie's not feeling the greatest, and then you go, boom, get kicked out 6 minutes into the game, and kind of crazy. And then another thing, too, I wasn't even thinking, they were talking a little bit about it. Pat O'Toole, the assistant coach of Rochester, his son being the backup for Vancouver. I know a lot of it last night was about Sean Williams, head coach of Vegas, playing for his son, but that was pretty cool, too, different coaches, and one of them being in the Rochester game got to coach versus son.
Yeah, I what I was thinking was just that, like, I want to know, like, what's the vibe after that? Like, yeah, like, what are you saying to him as management, but also like the team, because like if you know that your backup's sick, and not feeling well, and then you're the main guy, and then it's like you only 4 minutes into the game, you go and do something like that, you're kind of letting your whole team down.
I think so. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, especially if you're the starter, your record's 4-2 and coming off of a loss, I think.
Yeah, last week.
And, you're playing against a team that's with the same record, right? Like, these games, when it comes down to especially unified standings, and you only play that team one time, if you come into a tiebreaker and you finish 5th and they finish 4th and they beat you, now you got to go to Vancouver instead of them coming to you.
That's probably the big thing nowadays, too, with those universal standings. It's not East and West, so it's like they're all kind of fighting for the same spot.
Like every game does matter. Like, even watching or even thinking about Oshawa now, too. Like, they're 2-6, 2-7 now. Like, they can still make a run, but they got to – all these games do matter. Like, if they came back and tied, say, Halifax in the standings, even though we're 1-1, I don't recall who would have the tiebreaker on the goals for, goals against, but every game does matter in this league.
So let's go into like Halifax a little bit. Let's segue into that. Like, every game does matter. It's been like 3 in a row now, right? Three losses in a row. Yeah. What's the vibe in the dressing room? What's the vibe in the management after that?
When you got a veteran group like Halifax, I think it's just let's keep going. Like these things happen. We go on runs. They go on runs, and it's going to happen. We're not going to as good as every team thinks they can be or should be. Theoretically, like you can't win every game in this league. It would be too tough. So just put your head down, get back to work, and next week you got I forget who, but every game is going to be tough from here on out, and time to just get back to work.
And it was a pretty back and forth game with them in Halifax, especially for like the good, like at least half to three quarters, right? It was.
I think it was just a couple of bounces too that went George's way, and that's what the game was really.
I picked up on so last episode you were talking about how long it takes to get off the floor, and some of the commentators were also talking about that during the game. They were saying out loud, letting people to know that like, oh, it's taking Halifax quite a long time to get off the floor, and that's where George is getting these transition goals. So like, as someone who watches that, like, how do you articulate that to the team and be like, hey, here's exactly what's happening?
Like I said before, like you have a veteran group that they know what's happening. I think just especially if you're getting down in a game, I think you just kind of want to push it a little bit more. Like you're trying to stay out there longer than you can, just to try to get the goal and get things rolling, right? So I think that's where getting a lead earlier in the game helps with that and eases that pressure of trying to force the issue and staying out there longer than what you should, instead of just maybe looking at the clock, seeing the clock at 5 seconds and just start hedging back. But I think once you get down in a game, like it does get so hard, especially when you do hit a little bit of a skid, right? Like a 2-game losing streak or whatever, you're trying your hardest to get out of that, right? So your mindset might shift a little bit to, man, we got to get going here. And then you can start doing a little bit of uncharacteristic things. But again, like I said before, like a team like Halifax, a veteran team, especially up front there, and these guys have won at almost every level of the game, and I think they'll get back to the way we started this year at the beginning of the year, 2-0, right? Like everybody's going, and I think the full confidence is there that this group can get it done.
One positive I would say was like that Jason Knox hadn't scored, they said, since you guys had beat Buffalo earlier in the season, and then he finished with multiple last night. Kind of Dawson Theed's gone. He got more playing time on the left side and really kind of blossomed in that role.
Yeah, he had a big game, and I think fitness was a big thing last year with him, and then going into this year, I think that kind of changed for him. He got into better shape, and especially I think he played in Nipissing for Field and Kufla, right? And being not many guys on that team, and I think that kind of helped his confidence a little bit more too, is just having the ball more and being that guy, and then showing up at training camp. Like he looked really good. He looked really good at training camp, and obviously going into the season there, I think he scored the first game, and then I think he had two against Buffalo there when we came back and beat them in Buffalo there. So then obviously last night too, like he was buzzing around especially the first half. I think he had 4 or 5 shots and I think 2 goals. But I think that's all that's needed is just an opportunity, right? And that's what can happen.
Definitely, you figure him and even Will McLeod's just going to keep getting better and more comfortable in his role and as a rookie in the league. Absolutely.
A funny story. When I was doing the Arrows, I forget what draft year it was, but he was one of the names that was coming up out of Hamilton's group to be drafted, and we had conversations and about the Arrows picking him maybe in the second round, and I forget which draft it was, but we ended up pivoting and going somebody else fell down that we ended up taking. But he actually sent me a text message like hours after the draft, and not word for word, but it was more like, you're going to regret this. This was a bad decision on your guys' part, not picking me, and this, that, and the other. And sure enough, he goes to Burlington and wins a Minto Cup there, right? And Arrows were struggling at that point, and then obviously you get the opportunity this year to draft him. He falls down to 12 to Halifax. It's kind of hard time passing up on a guy like that, right? And obviously he showed why, especially the first game, put in 4 goals, right? So.
How did it feel getting that text? Like when you got it, was it kind of written like a little spicy, little attitude to it, or was it kind of like, no, I'm just going to show you? But
it's a bit of both, you know. Okay. And I'm just like, shit, I should have.
Look at this guy.
Yeah. Look at this 16-year-old just talking smack, and then he went and backed it up. So good on him, right? So.
Yeah, that's awesome though, because at 16, you know, it takes little balls to say, oh, you're going to regret this, right? Yeah. Because then if you don't, they're going to remember that.
Yeah. It's usually the parents that send you that message, not the kid himself.
Oh, parents saying that?
So.
What about, let's get into Warren. Warren last night, he's doing the splits out there.
He's always been doing that.
Why? Why is he always doing the splits? Does he need to do the splits all the time?
You got to ask him that.
I know.
I look at that and I get sore.
That's what I was saying. Because I got a very bad leg, so I'm just like, he's the same age as me, so I'm just like, how, Warren?
But he's actually very acrobatic for what his body type is, right? And I think he takes very, very good care of himself, and I think he's one of the guys that actually takes notes on everything too, and he's very knowledgeable on shooters and other teams. So, you know, I think I remember when we talked about him and when he was with Georgia there. I think they had the 4 goalies at that point, and that's when I think Bino left to go to Buffalo. I think and we had Angus. It was just Angus left over from that group, and then Warren came in, and we brought him in as a free agent, and it was just him and Angus Goodleaf platooning there for a bit, and Warren just took over. And for the first few years there, like I always compiled my own data and stuff like that, like a lot of the other guys do as well. And Warren had, in a 4-year span there at the beginning before we moved from Rochester to Halifax, Warren had the best home record out of any goalie, like win-loss record, and he had the second best win-loss record out of any goalie, and that's overall. Like he came in hot. He was really good, and he's obviously seeing it this year too. Like he had a tough year last year, and just watching him bounce back this year, he's having a very, very good year.
It just makes me laugh when you say that, like he really takes care of himself, because I think of at the breakfast table in high school. I used to watch him eat breakfast, and I seen what he ate, and he wasn't taking care of himself.
Well, you can say that for most football players, right?
Yeah. Well, back then none of us were. We were all on a budget. Yeah. No, I remember those days too. You go to Hagersville High School and you get the big plate of soft cookies for $4, and you get like 5 plates of them. Oh yeah, loading up for breakfast.
Yep.
Everybody sit at this exact same table, stare at each other down. Yep. Oh yeah, good old days. I remember those days.
Yep, I remember those.
What about you, Vail? What was your takeaway from the game? Any?
Like I said, and Warren's plays good. It's almost kind of the same like another local guy in Dougie. The goalies are playing good, right? And the team's just got to start scoring more goals and getting the wins, right, to help the goalies out. Then I was thinking like Calgary, they've had a rough start this year, right? Josh Anderson kicked out last week, the head coach, and then their captain this week. And there was something I heard going to a Rock game earlier in this year from a very good source that before they hired Josh Anderson, Dan McRae was offered the job, and he decided not to take the job in Calgary. Then they hired Josh Anderson, and then this time around in Ottawa, Dan McRae took it. So I wonder if they keep losing, is Josh Anderson on the hot seat for finishing this year, or does he kind of get another shot because of the rebuildingness of them losing Jesse King and Curtis Dixon and all that?
You're always calling out these coaches. Where are you attacking the other coach last season?
Ottawa did fire the guys.
Oh, you got to listen to Vail. Vail's got the knowledge, man.
Yeah, well, like I said, Rick Glisk is out of the league and helping some City Lax, and Dan Ladisora is not coaching anywhere. But I just thought, like you said, look at the NFL. 10 coaches got fired this year, right? So it's kind of all these coaches in these leagues get on the hot seat and stuff. So when you're kind of not producing, but I understand Calgary, right? They lost El Bianco last year. Aiden Walsh is new. And like I said, Jesse King, Dixon, Dane Doby retired. Maybe it's just like that rebuilding year for them.
But why isn't it that way in Georgia or Oshawa?
Yeah.
Both young teams.
Very true. That's very true. Yeah.
Oshawa rebuilt, or Albany at that point rebuilt, and within a year they're in the Cup Finals.
And that was kind of the big thing when me and him, and even the Rock, they're playing good. Like, that was a big thing. Me and him went going to the Rock Georgia game. I was like, oh, this is going to be good. They're both two young, fast teams, right? Like, you got, like, really that whole offense, right? From when Miller and Oakes and Miles Thompson, right? And then they're completely new offense besides Jackson and Lyle.
Yeah, it's fun watching teams like that play. Like that game last week, and even the Oshawa and Vegas game, like that was back and forth. Like, I don't think there was more than a 2-goal lead at any point other than the empty netter at the end or Donville's last second goal there. That's kind of what you want, right? Just up and down, fast paced game. And yeah, like you mentioned, Jumbo saying that, and I've always heard it. Like, you go to a lacrosse game as a spectator, you leave a fan, right? And anybody that went to a lacrosse game in Vegas last night for the first time, I guarantee you they're going to go back.
And then even Donville's kind of stepping up, right? I know he was kind of down on his game last year and in the summertime for PLL. So Chase Razor went down and Donville stepped up and scored a big goal. And even back to Ottawa, like, they had that big win versus Buffalo and then kind of got shellacked at home last week versus Vancouver, and then didn't play very good last night in Toronto. So I wonder what's kind of going on there. It looked like they were kind of going upwards, and now they kind of went back down.
I thought Toronto did really well last night. So, like, rightfully so, beating Ottawa. I thought they were doing great. Like, well, that Bushi guy get like 5 goals?
Yeah, he's really good, yeah. And then
he's streaky like that.
Yeah, that's true.
He's either going to get 0 or he's going to get 5.
He was lining it up, though, like one after another.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, it was like, oh, man.
And then you figure, like, they still have Kurse and Hiltz, and Holichuk played good in net, so.
And then, like, the week before, didn't, like, T and, like, Hilliard get a whole bunch?
Yeah.
So, like, what happened this week? Like, what was teed up to this week? You always know everything about him.
Yeah, like, you figure maybe things just weren't really clicking. Like, I don't know. Like, they kind of they do play T a little bit out the back door, I see, and like kind of get him in transition. And O'Connor, it just seemed like Holichuk and the Rock defense were just playing that good.
I think that's the big thing, though. Like, the guys are going to get the top guys they're always going to get their points. It's what you do with the secondary scoring that's what's going to win you or lose you the games.
Definitely.
Right? Like, Teet's always going to get his 5, 6, 7 points. Dane, Byrne, same thing. Like, those guys are always going to get their points, whether it's quietly or not. It's what you do with the secondary and what you do with the transition, and that's where majority of the times you're going to win or lose your game.
Was it Dunbar? And then it seemed like Dunbar got sat out last night, and then Travis Longboat, he got his first game of the season coming off his shoulder surgery.
I was hearing that name being said last night. Yeah,
Indigenous night, better than playing.
Yeah, and then Justin Martin had his first goal of the season off of a Trell Harris assist. So
yeah, they were saying a no look pass. Yeah. I think he was looking. I think he could see.
And that was the Rock too. Like, they had Latrell Harris come off the injured list, and then Sam English went on the English list, right? So at least even for a guy like Skibbs there, Justin, like, he's kind of just, Sam English was scoring a lot coming out the back door, so it was good kind of for Justin to step up and get his goal when Sam English was out.
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting night. Did you have any other takeaways from all the games there?
It was a feisty weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Which one do you think, like, was the most shocking, though? Like, which one was just like, oh, I can't believe that, like, Bandits lost? Or like, which one was the most?
I think the Toronto-Ottawa one for me. I didn't think it was going to be, what was it, 17-10, 17-9?
Yeah, more lopsided.
I thought it would have been 1 or 2 goal game either way. I didn't think it was going to get to that point. But again, like, Troy Holichuk, he's a good goalie. Like, we got him for the Arrows there a couple of years back, and he was really good. Team Ontario goalie, and that's what happened. Same thing, like, just a backup goalie biding his time and waiting for his time to shine, and stepped up, and see what happens going forward with him. And when Rosie comes back, especially if he puts a few more wins under the belt, right?
Because even last week he played good. They just lost in overtime, right? So he's kind of kept them in these games, and then he won them the game when Rose got hurt in Rochester. So have to see, maybe Rose comes back and they do just have him as backup and kind of mentoring.
You got any updates on Rosie? I think I heard the commentator saying he's out for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was like 3 to 6. So it wasn't as bad. Like, at least he definitely didn't tear his ACL if it's that. Like, it looked worse maybe than it must have been. Maybe it was just a sprain or an MCL or something, but I don't have any like real diagnosis that way. But then about like the feisty weekend, how about some of these guys? They don't really know how to throw the punches on. a lot of missing air, and but maybe like the Robinson guy, he's trying, even though he kind of got, and the guys on the rush and stuff like that.
Well, Vela got Robinson good enough that second left.
Yeah, that's kind of
and then he followed up with the quick jab, and I think you see that. Then he starts getting wobbly a bit. Then he went down.
They said that the Vela had to wear a 98 the rest of the game, and you kind of see it more in the highlights when I looked after. I was like, oh, he just got his jersey all like torn up. And
But I love that though. Like, watching guys that usually aren't the ones that are going to fight. I love watching that.
Yeah, it's entertaining, right? Because it's kind of like, hey, they're not like they're not the Weises and the Priolos.
It's not. It wasn't scripted or nothing. No. It was just, let's go.
But that game and even that Calgary. The rush fight, right? It was just like, hey, F you, like, let's go right now, and all right, let's drop it, and got mad about a slash or kind of cross check. And
here's a good one. Who in the league surprised you? Like, it's good to see some players who like aren't fighters, and then sometimes they'll step up and they, all of a sudden they become a fighter. Who's someone who surprised you?
In that way?
Yeah. Like just like you never thought they'd be a fighter, and all of a sudden maybe they only fought once, but they held it down.
Let me think about it.
Okay, we'll have to ask Lax Tilly.
Yeah.
We'll come back to it.
I'm trying to even think too of like I do know he had a lot of content last night, right? Lax Tilly.
Well, there was a lot to talk about last night. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
But let's get into some of these trades. I know that you want to talk about some of the trades that have been happening.
Dawson Thied get traded for the 28th first round pick in 28, and maybe even two, right? Maybe Halifax, maybe they don't pick in 28, maybe they flip that in one of these next two drafts. I know they're supposed to be kind of more potent, right? You got Finn Thompson and Joey Spallina and all these guys coming out this year, and 27, and there's definitely a couple of names I noticed in the 28 draft when I was looking last night, but I mean, hey, things happen. Like they got Jason Knox, got more time on the left side, and then they picked up Stephen Keogh. I look like he's on the practice squad for now. Maybe next game he'll get in. And then a couple guys got cut, right? We had guys come off the injured list for Buffalo, and Ron John got cut. I heard he was still not unsigned. I heard he was maybe going to the Schweigen Bears in the Arena League. And then Mike Triolo, some people thought he may be done, but then he gets another shot in Georgia, signs him a 6'8" guy trying to...
I've seen him set in the pick for Lyle.
Yeah, that's what they're kind of saying, big body, just to kind of free up and get Lyle some space there on the right side.
What do you think the future of Halifax is? Like, that 2028 pick, like, is there any thoughts in mind of who that could be used for?
I have my opinions, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably wouldn't give it out on here, but
no. I think that's a big thing. Like, when you're trying to plan, when you're with a team and you're trying to plan out stuff like that, when it comes to scouting and you got your depth charts and you have like we all have our, like, coaches have their boards. I have my own thing as a scout and stuff like that, and obviously assistant GM and GM have their stuff too as well, and kind of try to plan out year by year of where guys are going to, where things are going to happen, and what years we think we can get younger, and kind of just, I guess, like you said last week, kind of moneyball stuff and go from there. But I think the future will be very bright. We got our first pick from this previous draft in 2025, Alex Marinier, went back to school. He's a big-time righty up front there. He's won a Minto Cup in Burlington with Will McLeod. So then the 2026 draft coming up this fall, we got 3 first-round picks, second-round pick. Year after that, we have a 27 first-round pick, and then the year after that, two 28 first-round picks. So when you go back and look at a lot of the teams that do win, first-rounders do matter. Ideally you want them kind of up high, so you kind of go through other teams' rosters too, and just kind of see where, if they're up here now, where are they going to fall off, or which team at some point do we feel is going to kind of hit the skids and try to moneyball those picks to maybe get a high pick out of their picks. So I think, but I think Halifax is going to have a very, very bright future, especially with all the first rounders. Like you can see it with Georgia. They always stack up on the first rounders. Look at them now. Like they had the Thompsons. They had a very good run with them, and then now they reloaded again, and they're doing really surprisingly good this year. Same thing with Oshawa. They look really. They're young, but they got to the finals right away. Toronto Rock, they looked really good too. Like there's really no easy outs, whether you're considered to be young or not, right? But I think we're going to have a very good team, and especially going forward, people call it rebuilds or whatever. I don't think that's ever the case. It's just more of a retooling, revamping, and adding the youth to the veterans you have.
I do know when I was like looking yesterday and just was trying to refresh my memory again. 2020, Grayson Manning, Victoria goalie. He's supposed to come out that year. He was the big goalie for Victoria, then Team Canada and Field. And then a lot of the names I noticed on here too were a lot of Arrows guys. A lot of guys in there last year. This year, Dale and John Hill, Matt Hamlin, that Tryson Sunday 83. Like guys that are they might be done Arrows this year, but they are in school, so then they're not eligible to 2028. Kane Pear, that Stone Evans, he played Arrows a few years ago from the States. Then he got traded to Burlington. He goes to Providence College and always plays Team Jamaica. And then that Josh Mills from Poco. I know he played Nag in BC was the first time I heard of him a few years ago. And then he was a big player for Poco and was at Toronto Beaches he finished off this year. So Mercyhurst. So those were just like a few names there I know that are in the 2028 drafts of things I kind of recognize.
I think he's native too.
Native, yep. And then this other Kyler Francis, he may be playing for Kitchener this year because he's from that Waterloo area, plays for Yale. He's a D guy or transition. So those are just like some kind of young names that are kind of freshly for the 2028. And
the other thing too is when you look at the drafts, they're slated for that year, but you look at even the 27. Like every year you have guys that are in school. For whatever, if they get hurt or whatever, then they take a redshirt year. They fall down to a year after. So everybody's looking at the 26, 27 draft as a big two, but there's going to be some guys in at 27, like a Trey Deer, that's going to fall down to the 28 now.
Well, I know that was our big thing because even with Thunder Hill, they have him now back in the 2026 draft. But when he was on here, he never put his name in that other draft because he went to OCC that year, and I don't know. Yeah, now all of a sudden they got him scheduled for 2026, I know, in some mock draft boards, but I was pretty sure he was already in the draft a couple of years ago, but
he never ever declared.
Never did declare. I know he was on here and he said he was gonna, so he must have never actually did it.
Yeah, I remember talking to him that year, and he said that he was gonna finish his schooling. Whether that's the case or not, I don't know.
Let's say that you have the choice of having someone who's seasoned, who has, maybe 3 years left, or you have someone who could potentially have 10, 15 their whole career, but you're kind of taking a gamble with that 10 to 15 one because you don't have a whole bunch of game tape to watch of them playing in the NLL, right? You might have a whole bunch of reasons to have this other player who only has 3 years left, but they're seasoned. Which one are you going to choose, and what's your reasoning behind it? Do you want seasoned players on Halifax because you guys are a seasoned team, or do you kind of want the younger?
I think it's got to be a good mix. I mean, obviously you're going to take that risk regardless of whether they're seasoned or a rookie, right? Or whether they just have 1 or 2 years, right? You just never know how they're going to pan out, and especially, I think you got to go after the guys that you think is going to fit into your system. I mean, we can get a guy like I won't say names, but a guy that I'm sure what type of guy, but he just doesn't fit into the mold of what your team is and what systems you run and whatnot. And they may go to the next team and be great, right? Kurt always uses the term, let's find somebody we can dust off, turn them into something. And most recently, I think that would have been Colton Armstrong, right? He was playing Junior C. I don't know if he played Junior A at all.
I don't think he did. I think he was just always Junior C and Junior B, or Senior B.
And then he did the ALL, and we signed him right from there. And I don't know if he sat a game since then. And he was an immediate player, and even I guess more recent, like a Curtis Romanchich, right? just a smaller, not the biggest guy, but he's got a good motor on him, and he's just a hard worker and doesn't give up on plays, right? And so I guess it doesn't really, preference isn't a thing. I guess it's just trying to find the right fit for the group that you're with.
So they can fit your system. It doesn't matter whether they got 3 years or they got 10 to 15 left on.
Well, I think when you come down to it, like obviously experience does matter at some point, especially once you get into the playoffs and later rounds, right? Like that championship pedigree is going to help you go further, especially when you get to the finals, because they kind of know what's expected, what's going to happen at that stage, and obviously you do also look at the pedigrees of guys too, like how much lacrosse have they played, how many championships have they won. That's one thing that I always look at, like, are they a winner?
Especially too with like that Alex Marinier, like you said, he would have been a big get this year to help you on the right side, but you kind of got him. He goes back to Ohio State. I know even there was rumors he almost was going to go to McMaster at one point. Like he was kind of all over the place, and he wasn't a COVID year. He was a regular redshirt because he kind of, for this big score, he goes into Ohio State as a long pole where he's kind of on the backup end right there, big time Big Ten school. And it seemed like after that Minto Cup year, the coaches at Ohio State said, hey, we see you scoring all the time up there in box. You win a Minto. Why don't you just play attack for us? And then all of a sudden, boom, he blows up on that kind of NCAA scene in the States. And, he's big body, right? His brother playing for Ottawa and the Chiefs, like D guy, so kind of opposite ends of the floor. But like you said, he's got size and stuff and can really help you guys in the future. It wasn't this year, but next year for sure, in the years to come.
Yeah, that's laying the groundwork, right?
Definitely.
And just putting pieces in place. It's just like a puzzle, right? Where are these guys going to fit, and when are they going to fit? And obviously, you want them right away, but there's nothing wrong with letting them go back and finish school first, and especially on a veteran team like ours, the right side going into the season was Randall, Hoagie, and Clark, right? Like, how much playing time is a guy like Marinier going to get, or is he going to have to go the Dane Smith route and play out the back door for the first year or two, right? So, I mean, there's no rush in bringing these guys in, especially if you don't need to.
Would you say that Halifax and the Bandits are two of the older teams? Like, you're looking at the the age of the players and.
Probably close to it, yeah. I would think so. But I also think both teams are doing a better job of bringing the youth in as well, and they're not fully rebuilding, like I said before, but just more so revamping and retooling and getting younger.
Before moving on, because we're going to be talking about minor lacrosse and more local stuff, but I remember that the next game Halifax has is actually against Bandits. I think it's on the 14th.
I think that's televised one.
Okay, yeah.
We have one this week, and I forget who it's against, though. I'm pretty sure we play this weekend.
Okay, well, the 14th one I'm excited for.
Me too.
And I remember you were saying that Halifax is like the new Bandit land.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then we had Tyson, we had Brendan on here, and they all said someone needs to take out Bandits. How do you feel that game is going to go? What are you most excited for? What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to happen?
Halifax win.
Of course.
I think games like that, obviously Halifax win, but win in a big way, like Colorado did, like a statement game, right? Like Colorado came into the year, they didn't have much fanfare, like, oh, this might be a rebuild year, might be a slower year for them, right? Going more youth, McLaughlin not playing, losing Zeddy, and now look at them. I think they're second place, and they just punched up pretty bad on the three-time defending champions. I mean, I think games like that are season makers, especially for teams that are just trying to get back over the hump, or teams like Halifax that's trying to get back into the win column and just say, oh yes, we can actually do it. We can do it. We got it over. We got the win back. Now we can get on our run and get back into the playoffs and make a push.
Was Jack Hanna kind of that kind of adrenaline shot Colorado needed to kind of?
Absolutely, man.
He got like how many goals?
He is a stud. I didn't really notice him too much previous years until to Team USA. first practice, I'm just like, this guy is unbelievable. And he's only 24, 25, I think. But, you know, that trade came at the right time too, losing Ryan Lee, and then who's an unbelievable player in his own right, but
injury prone, right?
Yeah, I think that's his third ACL now. I'm not sure if it happened to his other knee, but you know, trades like that can be season makers, and it just definitely shot a life for Colorado, like especially on that offense. Like it made them more dynamic, a little more unpredictable. I don't think Jack Hanna's got a predictable sense in his body, like the way he plays. So I think that was a very good deal for them.
Plus, do you figure playing where he lives now, maybe he's a little fresher, right? He's going to be driving right to the rink, doesn't have to worry about any flights to Vegas or Rochester or wherever he was playing before, and kind of can just go right in and be comfortable playing.
Oh yeah. He's going to be very good for them for a long time.
Well, let's get into minor lacrosse. Do you have any updates on minor lacrosse here on Six Nations?
Not many. One team tryouts are ongoing for the 13s, 15s. Well, actually all teams now, except for the girls. We're going to get them going tonight. After I leave here, actually, we're going to get the girls on the floor for a couple hours and just kind of go through some skills and drills with them for a couple of weekends. And then I think if they have tryouts, we'll get them going as soon as we can. So I think these next 2 weeks with the girls, we're just trying to gauge what the numbers are. So this will be the first year that we're trying to put together a U11 team, so that's good for them to have another team if they didn't want to play with the boys. So, but yeah, one team tryouts are ongoing. The U9s and U11s for the one teams are going to start their tryouts, I believe, tomorrow, Monday. And we had them on the floor last week just for some skills and drills too, just to let them get on the floor, get back in the flow, and then we'll get into the tryouts. Like before, like we'd always, it was always right after Little NHL, first Monday in March, after March break, tryouts, boom. 1 week, team picked. And then at that point, you're just kind of going off of memory from last season, or you're just kind of looking at guys that look good in the drill and you're not really understanding if they're able to understand what type of systems or whatever the coaches want to put in place, right? Or if they can pick things up quick enough, or whatever the case may be. So I like it better the way it is this year, starting later or starting earlier, and actually giving more time to the coaches and actually be with these players a little bit longer and actually help better understand them, and especially bringing in like Jay Shawana, who's kind of overseeing the athlete development part and the mindset training and stuff like that, and just getting a different perspective from that point as well. So I think it's going to be good for all of our kids going forward, especially keeping the athlete development and mindset training as one of our primary focuses going forward.
I had a question about like the U13. This actually came from Reddit, so I don't know if it's gonna apply to around here, but like a lot of parents were like they're sick of coaches picking U13 man-childs just because they're big, and they're on the one team because they're big, and then they're realizing, by 16 you're only big for so long. Other people hit puberty, and you're just big, but that's people how these coaches are picking their team is just like, hey, we need some 13-year-olds who are big enough. What's your thoughts on that? And does that exist here on Six Nations? Do you feel?
I think it exists everywhere. I mean, it goes all the way back to even when I played lacrosse. Like my age group, we had Bookie Dan Elliott on my team, and he was 6'3" tall at 10 years old, right?
There we go.
And we had, like, I remember the one year, it would have been Pee Wee U13, a hockey game, and the one parent's like, that kid drove to the game because he had a little mustache, right? And it's like, his mom had to run over, show the ID, and so that it is a thing. But I think in a sense that it only works out for so long. You know, like you get the big kid that's just going to bounce off these little kids, and it's not really developing them. Just giving the ball and let them run down the floor and score, right? Like you're not really teaching the kid how to play. I think we're trying to do a better job of that, and actually, especially now that we're revamping our tryout system and how we're kind of approaching it, so that we are kind of getting rid of that ourselves, so that we can find the right players for the right teams and develop them the right way, and just finding the guys that are actually coachable and listen and pay attention and be attentive to what's going on the floor. And even if you're not in part of the drill, you're actually watching the drill and making sure everybody's in line. So, but I mean, if they're big enough and good enough, why not take them though, right? But if I think our mindset going forward is just making sure that we find the right players that are coachable, have good skill level, have athleticism, and if size is there at that age, then sure, why not? I mean, I coached the U13s last year, and we had guys that were this big, and we had guys that are that big, and I mean, the littler guys got pushed around by some of the other teams' bigger guys, but it happens everywhere. It's just a matter if the kid's good enough or not, right?
Maybe a little guy's a little faster. Plus lacrosse, it's like the one sport where you can kind of, as long as you have the skills, you can kind of play, right?
Yeah, I actually like the smaller, more athletic guys myself. That's just me, because some of these bigger guys, it takes them a little bit longer to get up the floor than what you want, right? Like we talk about getting up the floor, transitioning the ball up faster, even getting back fast. Like it takes them a little bit, where you get a smaller guy that's going to be able to get back in 5 seconds, and the bigger guy is going to be kind of trotting back and taking them 9 seconds or whatever, right? So to me, I like athleticism more than size.
Yeah, and then like part two of that was that like, do we even have any like U13 players around here who are big? Like I feel like most of our players around here aren't, the biggest players. Like we got.
Okay. Well, define big, like this big or that big?
This big.
No, I don't. Looking at it, because that's my other son's age group. No, we don't have any beanstalks. There's just some good sized kids that are tall and athletic, but there's no real standout kids. We got there's watching the U11s, there's 2 standout kids that are at least a foot and a half bigger than the other kids. But they're also pretty good players too. So
that's what I feel, is that like even if you look at some of our pro players out there, they're not the biggest. Like who's our biggest pro player out there? Who's from here? Probably like Randy.
Like tallest, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be Randy.
Randy, Brendan. Yeah, probably Randy and Brendan.
And they're not the biggest in the league.
No.
Like Travis and Justin are kind of 2 skinnier guys, right? Like, but the Travis will set picks and do the dirty work and kind of an all around.
Travis a high IQ player. Mm-hmm. He's. I remember I mentioned it last week, just how when I was with New York and we kind of did the Moneyball numbers, and just kind of to see who had the best shift per shift value. It was Travi. Number 1 in the league.
Yeah, this is what came to my mind when I seen that question on Reddit. I was just like, well, around here, a lot of our players aren't even that big enough to have a preference and to be like, mm-hmm. No, we're only going to choose, you have to be a certain height, you have to be a certain size, because if you look at all the other teams, they're pretty big. Some of those kids are out there,
I think you find a bigger difference in the height and size at the U15 level. Like that's my oldest son's age, and he's maybe, I'm 5'10", he would be here on me, so maybe, I don't know what that is, 5'6". And then you have kids like Ian Lord's kid last year, Hudson, he was probably 6'3", like probably 180 pounds, like man size, right? at that age. So U13, I don't even think about it at that age. I think about it at the 15 age, where that's when you're starting to hit puberty, and some kids are hitting it before the others. And like my son was kind of scared going into the tryouts, and he's like, these kids are big. I'm like, well, you played a handful of games in U15 as a U13 call-up. Like, you survived those games. You can handle it. You're smart enough. You're athletic enough. So the size difference, I see it more in the 15 age. But again, you just got to be smart and keep moving. If you just stand there, you're just going to get pounded on. So
it makes sense. U15 is kind of more that middle school age group, right?
Yeah.
7th and 8th grade, and you forget that seems to be with the big puberty ages of guys, right?
Yeah. We got like 13s. We got some thicker boys. They're not tall, but they got some good size to them. But again, they're really good players. So I don't see a massive difference in the 13s as I do the 15s.
Let's get into. So we talked a little bit about minor. Any other updates in minor?
No, we're just the one teams submitted for like the 13s, 15s, 17s. So the tournament system kind of changed for the A division teams. Like you can get your preference, put your 3 preferences in, and the OLA will just slot you in wherever they can as preferences. So we're just kind of waiting to see what tournaments our 13, 15, and 17 A teams get into, and tryouts again, and just growing impatient, waiting to play. Like I want to go. I want to play.
Let's get into a topic that one of the coaches from another team, another center, had given us. They want to know. They want some updates on the Alora. What's going on with the junior A team? Is there a junior A team?
Like, they got the junior A team.
Yeah,
it's just same thing like we said last week. Of they're usually in junior A. You get in. You get an 18 months. Is it kind of like a probationary period?
Well, it's an 18-month. Before, I don't know if it is the same now as what it was before. Like, if when you apply and get accepted, you can't play until 18 months. So it's usually done in September. You get accepted or not, and then you got to wait the following season, and then you get in. So the OLA and Alora kind of backdoored their way in, and the OLA kind of overstepped the boundaries of what the junior A policy paper says, and says we're going to put these guys in right away. And so I think they're just kind of waiting, trying to hash out what that looks like. And when a team gets in, usually their players, like Alora has other players playing junior A elsewhere, they get the 1 year to come back home, or they got to stay where they are. So I think they're just trying to hash out what that looks like in terms of transactions, because normally you have to make you still have to make the lacrosse trade to send them back. So if I paid $1,000 to a center for a player and they get a junior A team, they would have to make a lacrosse trade to get that kid back. So then they're talking about first round picks. If a kid from Alora was picked in the first round, they got to give back a first round pick to the team.
And that's maybe where like that Jim Milligan with the Dawson Nielsen quote of where they take an inch, take a mile. Because if these guys are saying we don't want to do lacrosse moves, we want the kids back for free, that would be kind of them almost taking the mile.
Well, I think that part of it was going to happen anyways, whether that was 2026 or 27. You're going to have to figure out the player situation anyways. I think the bigger standpoint is once you let the OLA dictate, that's it. Like, they're just going to
run your league.
They are going to run your league. And that's why I said last week, I don't think the minor associations, I don't think the junior and senior team should be lumped in under the same umbrella as the minor associations, and they should have their own umbrella and run the way that they need to run, because you really don't have full autonomy over your league at that point. You're just kind of under whatever people that aren't in your league want. So it's a dangerous slope.
And then, like, during the last podcast, at the end there, you started to talk about, like, what you were talking about, this potentially new league and all these different things like that. Did you hear any feedback about that? Any talks in the lacrosse world?
Do it.
Oh, just do it, yeah. Just people being like, yeah, fine. Like, I think that's what I seen was like, yeah, finally.
Well, like I said before, like even we talked about it going kind of radio silent with some of the media stuff, but a lot of these people are the ones that are saying do it. And you know, when it was announced, like the TL was announced, you know, everybody tweeting, oh, TL, it ain't it. Well, in your face, you're telling me it is it, but to be cool, you're on social media saying it isn't it. Which is it? Like, you either agree with it or you don't, but you don't even know what it is, what the league was going to be yet, so you can't say it isn't it, right? If you don't understand what it is, maybe ask questions first and then form your opinion.
Do you feel that, like, some of the media people were being silenced or being persuaded, being influenced to think that it wasn't going to be it?
As grimy as it is, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I know that for a fact. Players too.
So, like, you know, without giving too much information, how do we move forward?
On doing a new league, whether it's junior or minors or whatever. I don't know.
Gotta see, right? You can't really like can't give the whole playbook here, but
no, I think just like anything, like a revolution. Like, I don't want to use that word, but if so many people are sick of how things are ran, and you know, I don't know if it's a coup or whatever at the higher level, but you know, it just takes more people than just somebody DMing you saying, finally. Like, what do you, if you're saying finally, what are you going to do to help with that?
almost like you said too, like we're going to suspend you from playing the league thing, like the travel ball and stuff. Once they had the parents and everybody pushed back on social media, and that, then it kind of had gone silent for the year or two, right? So it's kind of like they saw like, oh, this is a shitstorm of just kind of everybody's mad, and then it became a joke of if I play wall ball, I get suspended, and this and that. And then they were kind of, when it's becoming that joke, they're like, they don't want to be the butt of the jokes, right? So,
I think it's just like anything, like you just throw something at the wall, see what sticks, see what you can get away with, and what you can't get away with, and you can amp it up, or you can renege on it. And you know, the more people that actually are sick of it and whatever, like lacrosse shouldn't be owned by any entity. It should be free, and I should be free to take my U15 or 13 team down to the States to play Seneca, to play Onondaga, to play a club team from Ohio in the summer, not just here.
Because I remember too, even there was a team from Maryland. They had came all the way up to play in an Aurelia tournament. Does OLA still allow that happen? Yeah,
actually, it doesn't happen anymore. But like I was gonna bring that up. Like I remember when I was doing the junior A's and scouting, like I'd always go to the Orangeville tournament or Peterborough tournament and watch these teams. And like there was, I believe it was Orangeville. They always had, I think it happened for a few years, they had an American, like a U.S. box team come up. I think it was just called U.S. Boxla, and I think that's all it was. And they competed. They always played, I don't know if they ever won the tournament, but I know they won games against some of our top centers. So to me, that's growing the game, letting other teams have that opportunity, right? And I know, speaking of Jack Hanna, I know like he does that with U.S. Boxla, I think, and he actually takes teams up to Coquitlam. I think it's the Les Wingrove tournament. He always has teams up there, and maybe even Alberta. He has teams go compete with their kids too. So, but why not in Ontario?
No, definitely, especially like if those provinces are still doing it, why does Ontario have to be so closed off? But even let's say like Luke Magnan got suspended for the year for coaching the Muskies and can't come back and coach the Beaches, and supposedly same thing with them fighting with Dan McRae with him doing New West. If you're suspending coaches because you're jealous of them coaching and helping out another province and stuff,
but even that, like Luke and Danny Mack, they're coaching a senior A, senior B team.
Yeah.
In two different parts of the two separate entities. Why can't they go coach their junior team too? I can see it being if Luke was coaching the Beaches but also went to BC to coach junior A. Sure, you're going to have that conflict of meeting at a Mendo Cup. But why not a senior B team that doesn't even play in the OLA?
And like I said, Luke, the last couple of years he was playing for the Muskies, and this year, maybe because of that rule, or he didn't have time, so he's like, "Oh, I'll hop on the bench." And then it's like, so it's a team he had kind of relationships with that organization for years.
But the same thing. Like if he's coaching under the like Luke, for example, he's coaching under for the Muskies. They still play in a CLA championship.
Yeah,
it's still under the same bigger umbrella. What does it matter? Let him coach. If he wants to go help coach multiple teams, who am I? Who are the OLA to say you can't? Grow the game. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, after so when I put out the first reel, which was talking about the TLL and all that stuff, I separated the reels because people will actually message based upon the content that came out that day. So I separated them, and that one came out first, and there was a few people who had sent screenshots, and they were like, "Oh, here's what's happening here," but if you interact with some of these people who are sending the screenshots and be like, hey, like, why don't you speak out? They'll be like, oh, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change. And it's kind of like, yeah, but you
don't know until you do.
Yeah. But, and then also like, I feel like people are being desensitized.
Yep.
They're kind of like, oh, like, well, nothing else is changing anywhere else. And everyone else is kind of staying quiet. And I don't want to be the only one complaining as what people think it is. But really you're just standing up for like, your rights kind of thing.
Yep.
It's like people are like, even the way the world's going, people are losing rights. And then even in lacrosse, people are just desensitized and like, no, I don't want to speak up for this. I just want to play.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to play at some point if you don't speak up.
And
you lose your autonomy.
And it's sad because it's a reflection of like the culture of like what Canada's becoming, the States is, and all that. So it's like, it's crazy how like we say like, the creator's game and the medicine game, it's all a reflection of like, of communities coming together and resolving things. This is something that needs to be resolved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it on the head 100%, especially with what's going on in the world and being desensitized to what's going on. It feels like a lot of things get silenced, and like especially social media. Like, what is the world algorithm? Especially when there's a lot of stuff going up, like TLL stuff, a lot of positive feedback, and then the OJ would put stuff out just to be higher on the algorithm and just kind of bury the TLL stuff underneath and whatnot, right? Like, lacrosse is lacrosse. Who cares? Why do you got to try to bury it? We when we left, we never said like no to these guys that like Cody wanted to take over the Arrows team for the OJ, and no issues whatsoever. It was a smooth transition. He asked me to help him with the protection list. I actually did that for him. I actually went through the list and I said, I'll send it to you. I'll help you. That's the way it should be, right? Helping other people build lacrosse, whatever that may be. We want to do something different. This isn't for us anymore. We want to move over here to do this, but we're not going to punish you for this. Help you. There's not too many people that are willing to actually do what's right for lacrosse in general and stand up for what's right.
I think too it gets different because almost like U.S. Lacrosse runs U.S. Lacrosse, but they don't have like each state doesn't have its own where like you have your, British Columbia, your Alberta, your OLA, where it's just like, and then the CLA is just trying to deviate and deal with all the BS, and where it's like U.S. Lacrosse runs U.S. Lacrosse, you think the CLA would just run CLA, and maybe then kind of like you said, them doing some stuff now, but they went in and almost let these provinces or how OLA and CLA fight all the time for who has the biggest power in Ontario.
Honestly, I don't even know what CLA does.
Yeah.
I've been a part of this side of the game, like not playing side of the game, like management side of the game since 2007 as a coach and manager in different roles between. And the only time I've ever dealt with these CLA is when you get to a Minto Cup and they hand you a trophy in one hand, and the other hand they're asking for their check.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like you said.
Like, honestly, I honestly don't know what they do other than Team Canada. And again, we talked about that's only representing 20 to 25 kids or men or women per year.
I imagine there are a bunch of board members that like maybe they like lacrosse and they watch lacrosse, but like I don't know. I feel like admin people.
Yep.
Yeah, just admin people that like they understand a little bit, but they're not cultured enough to.
We got into that a little bit on that. It's funny you brought that up. Like, so I don't know if I brought it up last week on it, but like the CLA came up with rule changes, right?
Yep.
Like crease diving now and live ball in the crease and whatnot. And so that Sunday, that was last Sunday I was here, right? I went home Sunday night. The CLA had like a town hall for anybody that signed up, want to hear about the new rule changes. And one of the questions asked was, where's the CLA president? Like, he should be on this call. Like, they're like, oh, he doesn't get on these things. Like, he should be. These are your members that are asking questions. Then they said, these are the people that made the rules, that paneled, that paneled making these rule changes. Well, why aren't these people on the call? Well, they don't need to be. Yeah, they do. You have over 200 people on here wanting to ask questions on why, what your reasoning is behind a U11 being able to crease dive now. I just, and you could tell that the one guy was really unprepared for a lot of the questions they got asked. You can see him get flustered and whatnot, and like, some teams are already into tryouts, and some centers already had their teams picked, and now maybe they want to go back and redo their tryouts based on these new rules, because maybe these rules would fit certain players better now. And same type deal. Just throw it out there, see what we can get away with, right? And instead of just throwing it out there and creating some actual dialogue first about what might actually be good for a U11. Like, is that good for a U11 to be diving in the crease at that age? Like 9, 10-year-olds.
Well, you're talking to some people that do some stuff with junior teams. They were like, did really need to go to 3-on-3 overtime?
Overtime, yeah.
Yeah, they were like, we didn't really have to. They were like, the games weren't going that slow and stuff like that, and you're trying to really speed it up. And
so this was a common answer that was brought up on these things. We want to. It was two answers. We want to accelerate our player development, and we want to make the games more exciting. Honestly, I think the games are pretty damn exciting the way they are. I mean, I like the live ball in the crease. That's a good one. But at U11, you should not have kids crease diving, because now you're putting the onus on. Generally at that age, you only get maybe 16, 17-year-old refs ref in those games, right? Now you're putting that onus on that ref of his discretion. Like, this kid's not even driving yet.
That's very true.
And now you're going to have a very big U11 kid crease diving at a very small U11 goalie who's possibly get hurt, knock on wood, wherever it is. But now you're going to have the goalie's dad in the crowd screaming at this ref for not stopping it. And now we're going to lose a brand new ref, because why would I want to come ref a game when I'm just going to get yelled at? Because I just don't think that a lot of these scenarios were thought through in that process of changing rules, especially, and that's what one of the commenters said on there was, why not just start at senior, add your crease dice, then trickle down each year to see where things fit and doesn't fit. It's just dumb.
They're trying to make little mini soldiers out there, jumping around, thinking they're grown.
I'm just like, is this because like the U.S. women's beat Canada at the Worlds? Is it because Team Canada men's has real threats at the men's world now with U.S. and Haudenosaunee? Is that like is that a scare for Lacrosse Canada? Is this why we're trying to do these rule changes to accelerate when Canada's always won especially the men's worlds? They've always won that, right? So I just don't see why.
Because even look how like the NLL, like refs, like all those crease dives go to review, right? And they take 20 different things. And even the Bandits one with Dane last night, I don't know if his Teal's shoes are gonna show where his toes are. And like they're Curtis Dixon the other week was the player was laying down, like, you know, they're pretty controversial. And
but you don't have that. You're not gonna have that in minor.
Yeah.
It's literally up to a young kid's discretion. And then if goals allowed, goals not allowed, that kid's going to hear it. That ref is going to hear it.
Yeah, some ref's going to end up getting the shit end of the stick of that one.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And I've never been a fan of the refs playing up growing here, but I've come to appreciate them more growing up as I got older, and just seeing the crap that they do go through in some of the benches that I've been a part of, and just getting reamed all game, and like, man, it cannot be fun. So, and I've always made it a point, especially last year, even telling like a guy like Neil McDonald, who kind of oversees the rest, like, let them know, like, the rest I had for this game, they were really good. Just let them know that, so they know that they were appreciated, whether they, you know. And so I've always tried my best not to harp on refs for that reason, because I mean, if it's not me out there reffing, I can't say anything to this guy, right? Just like volunteering for any minor sports, you really shouldn't be bitching if you're not actually putting your time in to volunteer, right? Like, if you're going to complain, do something about it.
I better start volunteering then. I've been complaining a lot up here.
You do. You know what though? Like, even this is a form of it, right? Like, actually getting it out there, and like, this does more than help amplifying whatever's being said out there, right? Like, there's not many places like this that will actually dig into the matters. So, you volunteer.
Yeah, and I voluntarily throw myself out there because, again, I don't have to go on the floor. I'm not gonna get suspended, so I can kind of be a little bit more wild or whatever. Vale, you got to tone it down. You're at the store there. Someone might run up on you.
Yeah, but yeah, like you said, and then just the overtime rule was always, nobody ever knew if it was a full period or a sudden death.
Yeah,
so they could have just did that, just like, hey, it's sudden victory or whatever they want to call it nowadays.
I see the point of them wanting, the reasoning was to align with World Lacrosse, but minor sports doesn't do World Lacrosse. It's just juniors and men's, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And having a universal rule book, so refs, especially at the men's level, don't have to go from reffing NLL from December to January or June to having to next week automatically switch back to different set of rule books, right? And I've always thought that it needs to be a balanced rule book for refs, but not at minor.
Did you hear any more about them trying to get rid of the wall then? Was one of the rules? Or there was some talk online about them getting rid of the wall and then going just to the wooden goalie stick and the plastic field goalie stick?
I think that's one that they said it's going to phase in the next year or two. Yeah.
Just kind of.
Yeah, that was also one of the questions that someone had said on Instagram.
I saw like Arena League West, they kind of did their championship yesterday. I saw the Grizzlies. They don't really go by town names out there. They all kind of play at the Langley Event Center. So I saw the Grizzlies team won. I saw a couple names. There was Garrett Lewis and Aiden Baker. I noticed like they were on that team. And then the other team, the Shooting Eagles, they had kind of guys like Logan Shush, and they kind of had some bigger name guys I kind of seen in the league before. So that was a big win by that Grizzlies team.
Was that the video that I tagged you in where Austin Garlow Henry was like hit that Grizzly player?
That was Dreamcatcher.
Oh, okay. I thought that was you. I was like, yo, Bale getting crushed out there. Leave him alone. We need him for the pod.
No, that was Dreamcatcher. But that was yeah. So I know they kind of was told had some arena things in Langley. They started earlier, kind of compared to your guys' Ontario East league. So it'd be cool. Maybe eventually you guys, if you win the East and win the West, maybe that'd be cool to be in a whole actual championship someday.
You want to get into that?
we'll figure it out. But yeah,
it's such a different league now. When I came in the first year, like I was the first one to do the snipers, and you know, maybe it's because the NLL didn't have 14 teams, so the player pool was a lot different back then. But even just like when I went to the first game this year with the snipers, and everybody's coming in just shorts and sandals and that, I was like, what the hell's going on here? Like the first year, everybody had to wear shirts and ties. Like,
I remember that, yeah.
Like it made it feel like it was big. It made it feel important. Now it just feels like these guys are paying whatever dollar amount to pay a glorified men's league with refs that don't really care for the most part.
Like you said, then that's it is where it is kind of like some guys, hey, I paid $500, I should play, and then they don't play, and then you have actual other guys that play Senior A and stuff. So it's like this crazy mix of, like you said,
you have see. I thought about something I said last week, and you asked about maturity between ALL guys and NLL guys, and I said just look at where they're playing, right? And I should retract that a little bit. I thought about that, and you have your young guys that are actually, to no fault of their own, there's just no spots in the NLL, so they're still battling, right? And they're still making the conscious effort to drive from wherever they are. You got guys coming from Colorado, you guys got coming from Rochester, wherever they're coming from, trying to make sure that they're being able to play at the highest level that they can play at, so that they're still being seen, right? So, but then you also have the guys that are just playing to play, and that it didn't feel like that first year. Like everybody was just full of piss and vinegar trying to make it to the next level, and every game was a battle, and it was a crazy talented league.
Even let's say Ottawa's goalie, your guys' first ever game, snipers, he got cut from an NL team, maybe Georgia that year.
It was Higgins.
Yep. And then he goes, and Del Bianco's kind of, it was before Del Bianco was Del Bianco. He kind of goes in as a rookie because the Chiliano was suspended, and he didn't do so great. He got pulled. Higgins went in. I think he might have even won the game for Calgary, and then boom, he got dropped back to practice squad, and then he's playing for Oshawa versus you guys.
Yeah.
Day.
Like we had Warren in it that first year. There's all kinds of guys that are in the NLL now that played that first year. I think Triolo played.
Travis Longboat.
Travis Longboat, yeah. Travis was still junior. Lane Smith was still junior.
Then you had Tommy, and you had like Roger Weiss and those guys, kind of those older, kind of just coming out the NLL. So it was a good mix of guys coming up and guys just coming out.
And then, we had Race Weiss was supposed to coach, and he showed up to first practice with his pads to start playing. So.
That's what pretty much got him out of retirement, right? And he played a couple of years Riverman after that.
Yeah. That's always a question I always think about guys that could have played NLL. That there's so many guys from home here that I always think that should have been playing NLL, like Race. One I always thought about was Bubba Courtney. He won the Minto Cup with the Arrows in 2007, and just a hardworking guy, shot blocking machine, and for whatever reason, just never did. But there's so many guys back home here that I always thought about that. Man, you should be playing in NLL. And obviously some guys' life circumstances are different, but
because I think even I was like swarm it up. The furthest I could go back was from 2000 to 2024. Every year, at least somebody from here got drafted. Maybe they made the league or not, but at least they all got drafted. And that was the furthest I could go. And then Vintage Lax a couple of weeks back had posted the 99 draft, and Trent Hill was the 3rd round pick of the Rock. I don't know if he ever actually really got any games in or practice squad or anything back then, but still, Trent Hill.
Yeah.
But so long ago, 99. So I'm like, okay, so even you can go from 24 to 99. Everybody from here, at least somebody got drafted, whether they made the league or not.
Yeah. So even like guys we got talking about the Arrows last week, and so I went home and started watching some of the 2014 Minto Cup games, and I was like looking at that roster, and it's like Anthony Patterson should have been playing in NLL. Ian Martin probably had a good shot at the NLL. Like, he was a really good player. Wasn't the biggest, but he was smart. I think Quinn Paulus probably could have had a longer career in NLL. Even Hundice, Josh. Josh led the Minto Cup that year in goals, 2014. So many players, even like Marcus Alvin. He wasn't the best player, but
yeah,
he was just steady.
Would you say that was kind of almost like the first year in a long time that you had so many local guys at least get drafted off that team?
Local guys,
like they all, like Ian and Josh and Hundice and all them.
I think so. Yeah, Winster got drafted that year too. Brandon was the 3rd string goalie at that point. Yeah, Brandon, Donnie Alton got drafted. Even though Donnie's Caledonia, he's played down here, so
yeah.
he is.
He's one of those guys too that kind of like he didn't ever play senior after Arrows, and then the last I kind of saw him was at like a New England Open camp, probably like 2016, 17.
I think it was Philadelphia that drafted him, but yeah, I don't think he's played since. I think he's coached a couple times with Johnny, but yeah, that team had so many guys that were good, and even the 2015 team, it was such an odd team. Like going from 14, we lost 14 players from that 2014 team, and then came back and repeated home here. We brought in guys like James Ray, who played for Coquitlam, Ryan Lee. But we also had hometown guys like Dal John that finally stepped up and played junior A. Like, again, same type deal as Ian. Not the biggest, but just smart, knew where to be, scored timely goals. I didn't even know if he played it anymore.
No, like I think he kind of, and you would joke with him. He did like, it was on all 4 Rebels teams that won, and then he wins the.
Yeah, he won 5 cups in a row.
And then he kind of did a hiatus. He would kind of sometimes play Thursday, Sundays with us, and then I think in 2019 he jumped back out of retirement and he wins with Senior C Ontario, and then he goes on another hiatus. So like every time he came out, he won.
He's just a winner. And then the 2017 team that we won with, I think that was the team that had the most guys drafted. I think every player but one got drafted or played in the NLL at some point.
Like even like you said, you had opposite roles, but you had a guy like Durston making a big save on Orion Fournier, and like you said, where you kind of used to have your out of town players play, they kind of joked around that was just them kind of playing mini sticks in the garage there.
Yeah,
Durston would always save Orion Fournier.
So many stories I can't say.
No, definitely.
You always hear about the guys that lived up at the garage there, and all of our out of towners and. There's some stories, house fire even.
House fire.
It wasn't their fault. There was an electrical storm, and the garage caught on fire, and a lot of the guys had to get out, escape, and.
Well, I remember even like seeing the Clare brothers at like the local kind of just the gas station up there getting snacks one night and stuff like that. You'd see guys walking over.
It's crazy thinking back on those 2 guys, even Jubinville for that matter, like. Bringing those guys in, just defensive guys from Windsor. Like I remember Kellen. Came to training camp, and the coaches looked at me because Kellen LeClaire, he was 6'6", maybe 220 pounds at 19 years old, whatever it was, and he came to the first tryout, and the coach was looking at me like, "Why did you bring this guy? Like, can we send him home?" It's like, "No, let's give him a look. It's the highest defense," and we lost 14 guys, and sure enough, that same year in the 2015 Minto, he had the assignment of shutting down Chris Kluche in the Minto Cup. Like, he went from a guy our coaches didn't want to see at our next training camp to the guy they depended on the most.
What was it about him that they didn't want him there, though? Like,
he just look good. He didn't look good. He didn't look the part.
He didn't look the part?
He looked like he looked like a librarian, like just a big jacked librarian.
Like, so he probably didn't have the hands of like guys around here and stuff, right?
You know, he was a typical egg and spooner out there with the ball, right? Like, he's running around with a shovel in his hand, and just couldn't handle the ball. But he was athletic, big and athletic enough, rangy enough. He was good. And then we brought in his younger brother and Liam the year after, I think, and same thing. He had good hands on him, and he could handle the ball a bit. So just two good shutdown guys. Great family that came up from Windsor and made the most of it.
Really never left. And then the Chiefs protected them after, and they kept to still play Chiefs nowadays.
I think that's the case with a lot of the guys that come play junior A. Like you look back at Leo Storos, same thing, right? Played for 4 or 5 years junior A here. Won Defensive Player of the Year here 2 years in a row. Chiefs never left. Like Shane Simpson, same type deal for the most part.
Jubenville probably never would have left, but because he was from Rock, Oakville drafted him.
Yeah.
And they talking about him being like their best defender this year.
Yeah, he's really good, man. Like, he's so in shape, so fast. He's not the biggest, but he's very strong, very smart. He was one of the key guys for us on the back end in that 2017 team. And like, obviously, when you got a veteran squad like that in a 17 year, like, we only lost 2 games that year, and we only lost those games because we sat our top guys, and we only lost those 2 games by a goal each. So we were literally 4 goals away from a perfect season if we actually played all the guys. And like Doug, you got Doug Jamieson his last year. He didn't lose a game that whole year. Like, regular season, his goals against was like under 6. Playoffs, it was under 5, and Minto Cup, it was just over 4 per game. Like, that, to me, I don't know where it ranks all time, but to me, that might have been one of the better Minto Cup teams.
Then even like you brought in a guy like Holden Garland, and he's been a staple in this league for the Rush. Yep,
he's same thing. Like, yeah, he played 4 years in 4 years in St. Catharines, and then that deal almost did not get done. Like, I was on the phone with Sean Allen, who was the GM at St. Catharines, right up until probably 11:45 that night, and deadline was at midnight. Like, we were on the phone all night and just said, you guys aren't going to miss the playoffs. Give the kid a chance. And so, and it was a tough deal too, because we had to send them Jake McNabb, another guy who, same thing as the Leclercs. He came up from Owen Sound. I think it was his uncle that played for the Chiefs back in the 90s, won a Man Cup, I think. And he was a good player in his own right, and had to, obviously, to get something good, you got to give something good, right? And that's the other part of junior A now that I don't understand. Like, we always made some pretty good lacrosse deals, and, you know, you had to fight tooth and nail to get a first-round pick out of somebody. Now they're just giving 3 first-rounders up like it's nothing. And
yeah,
this is crazy. It's like, I honestly think I'd have child's play in this league right now.
Because like, even this was a random name popped in my head, was Jackson. Was it Jackson Reed?
Yeah, Reeder.
And then
yeah.
you traded him away, and then you got him back in the last year, right?
Yeah, he was another guy. 2015, I think we picked him. Scott, who was with me at the draft that year, I said, we're going to take this guy if he falls. Jackson fell to us. We got him at 7, I think, and he goes, why are we taking him? He's small. And I go, you'll see why. And not even 2 minutes after the draft was over, a team came up. He goes, "We'll give you 2 first-rounders for him." Like, that's how good he was that he fell. I don't know why he fell, but he was that damn good. And we brought him in. He played out the front end, played out the back end, and like, that's how deep that 15 team was. He was one of our leading scorers along with Tehoka Nanticoke, and I think Jake McNabb was a part of that too. And we didn't even put him on our Minto rosters because we brought in guys like a James Ray and Ryan Lee, and like, that's how deep our team was that year, that we had to sit guys like Tehoka Nanticoke. Like, that's a pretty good team.
Yeah, like, so that was like very deep roster of all those guys.
And yeah, we brought in another guy from out west, AJ Cluck from Alberta. I think he was at the Hill Academy. And same thing as Leclerc, just kind of geeky looking, but he got the job done.
Were those teams too kind of like a Pat Merrill still doing his thing in the NLL for GMing and coaching? Was that really his coaching start was with you in the Arrows, or did he do a little bit of minor before you guys? Obviously coaching the Hill Academy, I guess, but
I think it was this. I don't know about junior, but I actually think it might have been one of his first coaching things. Because I know his son Finn was just starting at that age, and we'd always kind of pick on him a bit because he like, I think Finn was just U9, like Tyke, and he was just stressed about it. Like, oh my God, Finn did this and Tyke, and like, come on, this kid's only 7-8 years old, give him a break. Like, he's like, oh, he didn't do this, and like, well, we'd always pick on him. Like, we had Polly Dawson and Billy Greer and Dean Hill that year. That was a really fun year. And then Polly didn't come back for the 2016 year. We had brought Ben Neeb, and he was a young guy, very, very smart. I think he was a high-end field goalie prospect. I think he had rides to like Cornell and a couple other places like Ohio State, I think. And then we kept that staff intact for the 17 team, but they were a big change from the coaching staff we had before, which was Marshall Abrams, Andy Secor, and Reggie Thorpe. And it took those, like, talking to Josh about it recently, like, it was because our kids play together in the same team in minor, and we're talking about some of the same things, trying to teach the kids the same things that we used for the Arrows that year, like just like triangle offense. Like, you watch The Last Dance, you hear Phil Jackson talking about triangle offense in basketball, right? It's the same type deal in lacrosse, right? So we're trying to teach those kids that, but just thinking about like the change from different philosophies from Marshall, Seeks, and Reggie. Like, they had the group of like the 93s, 92s, and 94s together, like Randy, Johnny Paulus, and Quinn Paulus, and Josh Johnson, Durston, and Hyundai's Miracle, like guys like that together for 3-4 years. It took that long of coaching them to get them to that next step of actually winning the Minto Cup in like Johnny's last year. But should have been 5, should have won the year before. I think that was the year Whitby beat us in Game 7, crossbar, to tie it up, and we just hit the crossbar, and that was it. Whitby went out and won, and then next year, guys came back and took care of business in Coquitlam. But yeah, it was a big change bringing Patty and the guys into having Marshall and Seeks in them, and it was a little bit more looser, but it was good, fun group. So obviously we had some pushback with bringing Patrick in, just not being from home here, but winning helps change that. So
I do have one last question. So, like, you seem to have some pull in the CLA, and you're up there in Six Nations minor lacrosse and all that stuff.
I have no pull in the CLA.
No pull.
We wouldn't be talking about stuff.
Yeah.
I thought Bill's over here lying to me.
No pull.
But so like, how can we get invited to more tournaments? How can we be a part of more like traveling teams to get out there and like tell the world about the Creators Game. They tell the world about this podcast.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean just about the podcast?
Yeah, like, let's say we wanted to go out there and we wanted to be like, hey, there's a tournament going on. Why don't we pod at the tournament? Or like, let us up a booth. Like, just be a part of these things.
Just directly with the tournament people. If you just go on their websites, like they usually have like who the tournament conveners are and stuff like that, and just directly get involved with them. And I would think they would have no issue with it. I mean, it's just bringing more eyes on their tournament, right?
Yeah, because we tried to I tried to do something with like provincials, like any one of those venues that were having stuff for the provincials, and there was like a lot of you need permits, all these different things. I feel like they were just kind of lying to me. That was an easy way out to be like, yeah, you need a permit, but like yeah. So I don't know how we can become involved in more of these tournaments and things like that.
Stop talking about them.
Yeah,
I know, right? But like,
that's what I was just thinking.
That's compelling. This is what the people want. You gotta get the people what they want.
You can't slap somebody then say I want to come sit at your table.
Yeah.
Well, let me like put up a little tent over there. I don't know.
No, I would just get in contact with the tournament conveners. I mean, the festival like Whitby provincials. It is what it is. It's just I think people are getting tired of it.
Definitely.
Like why does one place get to host the same thing every year, and why does their city get to bring in probably upwards of $10 million in revenue every year, when why can't it just be shared around? Like I remember when I played, Pee Wee provincials were somewhere, Bantams were somewhere else, midgets were somewhere else at different times. Like it just, why do we got to go to Whitby every year for this? Just for 3 games, if that. And it's just, there's got to be some sort of deal in place there too, right? I get it that it's a central area, but teams never had an issue traveling before that.
Well, even too for like the parents, like they kind of, you have multiple kids, you've got to kind of book your whole over week vacation.
Yeah, and like hotels now, they're not cheap, especially at festival time, because they know it's a yearly thing, so they're gonna pump it up. Like even if you block your things now, you're still looking at, depending on where you are, $250 a night, whatever the case is, $300 a night. Like that just adds up real quick, especially if you got 2 or 3 kids that are gonna play and be playing over that week.
Yeah, and then you got to eat, and it's expensive out there right now.
Yeah, you got to eat. There's just got to be. Again, I just think it's comfortable for them to do that. It's the same thing. They know what to expect. They just. I was thinking about this too. Like even talking about junior stuff and even the minors now too is. I just don't think many people actually want to put the work in to try something new. Or I think that's the biggest problem, is people just don't want to put the actual work in to make something or create something or try something. And even like thinking about something that said to me the other day about even, I think we touched on it briefly last week about Ganawage being denied the junior A team, right? And it was cited that financial reasons and teams not being able to go there. Like, if a junior B and a junior C team can find their way up there, how can a junior A team not? Like, come on.
Definitely, especially like they're coming from like this area, right? Halton Hills is going to Ganawage. Like, it's not like
they're not going there for one day.
Teams.
They're going there for the weekend.
Yeah,
like, junior B teams are going there for the weekend. They can do it. You have a year to plan your one trip up there.
And Ganawage is willing to pay the money to come down here.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't make sense to me how a junior C and junior B team can make it happen, but a junior A team is unable to. That's just lazy bullshit.
Need that TLL league.
And like it was also sourced that even if Ganawage was voted in by the Junior A League, the OLA was going to deny it. Mm-hmm. Based off of based off of player pool and player pool size. But our size of ours isn't much bigger. Orangeville's isn't much bigger. Like you look at their player pool now in Kahnawake. This is a team that just went to the Ontario Finals 2 years ago, got beat, won the Founders Cup this year. You got a talent pool, like you got Trey Deer, you got Cayman Diabo, their goalie, what's his name, Casey Lahash, I think.
Yeah.
You have all these guys coming up, like Darius Jones was just drafted to Whitby last year. To say that, because you're not typically an A center and minor, you can't have a junior A team. Well, guess what? Kitchener should be out of the league then. Give them to Guelph. Mimico should be out of the league. They're not an A center anymore.
And Mimico has a hard time fielding a junior B team at that.
And Toronto Beach's minors, they're like smaller than ours. They only have like a few hundred people. They didn't even have a midget team last year, I don't think. Like, you can't say that because they're way up there that they're not eligible based on player pool.
I think even like before this, in between them, being second in Ontario and winning the Founders, I believe they were trying to even host the Founders Cup and got denied with that. And supposedly, I don't know if it ever got announced that they were going to give it to Clarington. And that guy was kind of like, was the talks of, they're going back to that same area.
So, yeah, like, I don't know if you guys went up to a Kahnawake game, right, last summer? Like, was it a playoff or season?
It was a regular season. We went a good time. It was them first time they were going to play Aqui, so that was like a big crowd. But even that Sunday game when they were playing Gloucester, that was like a decent crowd for a Sunday game.
Their whole community showed out.
Was it a free game then?
It was free, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
and see, I thought they were doing it just because we were there.
No, they went up. I went up the last 2 summers because my son did BMX racing. So Kingston they would always have a game when my son had a racing provincial in Kingston. So it's just a quick 3-hour drive up. So we'd do his racing during the day and shoot up there to watch the game and free game playoffs. And it was a great atmosphere. I remember playing up there too before, and like just how it's a sunken bowl and the crowd's kind of on top and it's loud, and like, why would you not want an atmosphere like that in your league, in your top league? And who's to say that once they get a junior A team that expectations change up there now? Like, they're just junior B, now you're junior A. So your expectations change, your mindset's got to change, your development changes. I'm sure they have the resources, financial resources up there to help facilitate that change. And within their own kids, and even you're going to have Akwesasne kids that would scoot over to play junior A, Nepean kids to scoot over. Like, you can't deny a place that is financially able to support a junior A team and support it very well because of a player pool.
Yeah, because like we even went, because then them obviously like those areas being the further minor, their minors, not because I was like, a lot of minor games here are Tuesdays and Wednesdays and stuff. Mm-hmm. There being the weekend, so we watched a couple of minor games Sunday. Then we went on the floor. We were shooting around with the kids and stuff, and before the junior B game started. So, like I said, it was good atmosphere. Yeah, and that reading it, I didn't even realize that they always did those free games till just kind of recently. Somebody mentioning that.
Yeah. I remember walking in there the first game a couple of years ago. I think it was the year that Nepean beat them, and got my money out. They're like, the food booth's over there. It's like, well, where do I pay admission? They're like, no, free, go in. It's like, okay. Like, if they can support a junior team without taking any money in from fans, then why would you stop? Why would you stop that? You know that they're going to be fully capable of supporting a junior A team and actually bring people in to help develop that team and team culture. And you know what? Like, it's just such a short-sightedness on not just the OLA, but other teams that voted no against them. Like, you got to think that these junior B teams say, yes, this is going to be our team building weekend when we got to go up to play Kahnawake and Akwesasne this weekend, or Ottawa Gloucester this weekend, right? Same with the junior A team. I'm sure their games would have been up on a weekend there. Go up there Friday, play Saturday, come home Sunday. You got a year to plan that. You're telling me you can't come up with that resources, or you're too lazy to come up with those resources to make that happen, to better your league and better the overall product of your league, to have an atmosphere like what Kahnawake provides in your league.
We're going to have someone from Kahnawake come on the show and tell us, maybe there's more to the story. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, there's always, I'm sure there is.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some messages on Instagram and stuff like that of letting us know if there is more to the story, or if that's pretty much it. But we need their side of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll have many people willing to step up. I think probably Derek Stacey and even Greg Horn would be willing to get on.
Yeah, so you guys are invited. Make sure you hit us up, and we do have to get going though. Vale, any last minute topics or anything?
No, just another good show, and stay tuned. If you didn't watch part one, and then bring it into part two.
Yeah, part one was I feel like getting to know you more, and then about consulting as well. Where this one is more about we dived right into the NLL. Yeah. So pretty happy with this.
Good.
Until next week, we are out of here. This is episode 46 of the Creators Game Podcast. Peace.